We're live.
2026. What's
Keys to home,
season
2026.
technically episode 1, our launch of our new season. Lance started off before they have what they call bump music, and Lance was playing REO Speedwagon Roll with the Changes, which is what we're going to talk a lot about today. And then Mark and I were just jamming out to some
Beastie Boys. I got my, and this is my cup. This is how I show up. I mean,
right.
That's right.
Big cup. So as always, let's talk a little bit about what we've seen the last week. And then we'll start about like what we're going to talk about this episode is what's going on in our worlds, like our business worlds, like in our industries and in our professions for individually. But what have you seen this last week, Mark, just that you want to share with everybody? What's going on?
So the big story this last week was the administration talking about capping credit card rates at 10%. Lots of people are, and I've kind of seen where the administration has tapped down on that. But I think that I looked at a lot of the comments on some of the blogs after that was posted, and everyone, and I agree with a lot of people. Why are our credit cards sitting at 25 to 30% interest rates when our loans, mortgage rates are sitting at 5? I saw 5.01% on mortgage rates. I'll let Lance talk to that. That's the big story that came out. I think there's teeth to that. And
why aren't they about 18 or 19?
What's that?
Like, why aren't they 18 or 19?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, why are we so high in these interest rates? And I saw one comment, not to go too far into this before handing it off, but I saw one comment on the blog that said, I have an 850 credit score, and I pay off my credit card every month, but I did look at my interest rate, and I'm at an 850 credit score, and my interest rate is 30%.
Yeah.
How can if the question here is, if they are looking at if they're assessing the risk based on a credit score, then why is that person sitting at a 30% interest rate with an 850 credit score?
Right.
People need to start asking questions, or just, in my mind,
don't you dare ask questions. We're the hoi polloi.
Yeah, stop. Well, look, in my world, stop using credit cards. If you don't want to pay interest, it's that simple. Stop using them.
Yeah.
Or have the discipline, I should say, or follow that up with, have the discipline and the responsibility to not carry the balance from one month to the next. But understand, and then I'll shut up because I'm talking too much. But understand that if you use credit cards, you're accepting risk. If you can't, the minute you can't pay it off that month, and you carry a balance, that would be my first indication that you're spending too much, and you're overspending.
That's what happened to me in 23. Still digging out of it from the kids' weddings and the kids' moves and all that stuff, trying to help my kids and myself some. Lance, what's going on in your world? Or what did you see this last week? Because we're going to talk in depth about what's going on in the world later.
I've seen a lot of technology problems. It seems like every year that I go around the sun, something else I can't understand, like clearly how to use a razor, because it's electric. Anyway, we saw rates come down a little bit.
Has it got AI built into it? Is it, the electric razor with the AI built in?
Saw rates come down a little bit. With that, just the internet
the rates crashed. What you're saying?
Yeah, with everybody. Oh, come on! I mean, every loan officer in the country is doing funny videos, myself included. It's like everyone woke up from a 3-year Rip Van Winkle sleep.
Yeah.
applications are up 28% week over week, and that's what I'm seeing. I'm speaking of one of you mentioned AI or something like that. I've started to play around with that a little bit. It makes me look a lot younger. I like that. Cleans up the teeth, whitens them a bit. So obviously, this is not the AI lens.
You need to make it do that star.
Ding. Wait, where's the emoticon for that? There should be an emoticon.
Yep. Oh my God.
Yeah, rates are, I mean, applications are up. There's a lot of activity. I've done a couple of explainer videos. Maybe you've seen them. Headlines don't move rates. Everyone seems to think they do. The president, I've told them to buy $200 billion of securities. Okay, what's that in the scope of things, right? What rate is $200 billion in the scope? Is it, well, did it happen? Headlines don't move things. What moves rates is when expectations don't meet headlines.
Yeah.
And that's when the market knows what's going to happen. They've got analysts that do all this. And when things don't meet expectations, that's when you see the big moves. It's been a while. It's either something really good or something really bad.
Yeah.
But you, Jennifer.
So I wanted to speak to something that it's kind of the heart of what we talk about on this a lot. I got tagged in a Facebook post about a guy who is, and I'm going to say some astonishing numbers, so just hold until I'm done saying all the numbers, who is renting in the Spring Hill, Columbia area for $900 a month. And he and his wife are expecting their first child, and she's a stay-at-home mom, which indicates there's probably a previous relationship child. And he's been working on improving his credit for 7 years, and he makes $38,000, and he's frustrated that he's never going to be able to buy a house, and it's ridiculous because he should be able to get a house for about a $900 or slightly higher mortgage like he's doing for his rent, but he doesn't want to be throwing away his rent. I sympathize with him. The interest on rent is 100%. Now, what the heck does that mean? It means that all of the $900, none of it is going to equity that he is going to retain. It's going to equity for someone else. But $38,000 it's not a high income. And you're working on repairing your credit for 7 years. So are you doing on your own what you think you should be doing, but it's not efficient because you're not working with someone like Lance? That's what we talked about at some of the very first things is don't go in necessarily in credit cards. How are you using these things? What are you doing to improve them? And do you have professional guidance? But quite frankly, aside from Mark, I don't know that there's anybody who could help him. That's why Mark has got to be the first step on someone like that, because $38,000 is insufficient money to support what is now going to be a family of 4.
Yeah, that's
in our area. Now, I have a client who moved out of here and she's selling a home in middle rural Indiana or Illinois, and the house is listed at like $80,000. Well and good. That's a great plus for someone who's making $38,000. But I bet you that his income wouldn't be $38,000 there. So when you run into these people, this is why we have this podcast. Mark, he probably needs career coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
he obviously needs budget coaching.
Yeah, that was a great segue into being able to talk about you laid out a timeline of 7 years, and so what of 38,000. First of all, that's not sustainable. That is not going to provide a much more than poverty level for a family of 4. So the reason why I jumped in here is because on that timeline is because what has been the growth pattern for your income, your money-making ability over that same timeline?
Right.
Are we growing, or have we plateaued? Because in 7 years, let's lay it out, you guys. 7 years, you could have a 4-year college degree. You can also have a master's degree.
You know what else you could have from Home Depot? You can go in and get a trade certification. They're giving them out.
Yeah, I threw college in there.
But do you know how much you're going to make? Because we don't have trades. And why would Home Depot do that? Because it's going to support them. They need the electricians. They need the framers. They need the plumbers. They're going to go there to buy their stuff.
Yeah, and I
go to Home Depot and get some training and improve yourself.
Yeah, I went in on college. Just as the amount of timeline that has gone on, and
For sure.
secondly, someone trying to repair their credit for 7 years tells me we may also have a financial coaching situation. And
100%.
once again, I'm going to lean into this. My belief is that career coaching is far greater than at times than even financial coaching. And here's the reason why. For everyone listening to this right now, the one tool that is your strongest and your best wealth building tool is your income. If you don't have a job that is going to handle and a pay and an income that's going to handle the four people in a family, then there is no finances at that. We have to have there's a balance between this, and there's an interconnection between your income and your job and your skills and where you're headed on your career and your ability to handle the stress and financial wealth building and debt elimination aspects of your life personally.
Yeah.
They're interwoven, and they're connected at every level. Last thing I'm going to say, how are you handling your finances if you don't have a job? That's the prime example. That's why they're interwoven.
Yeah. There's two things that you have to pay attention to, and that you have to manage, and that you have to budget, because you can't get them back easily. One, you can't get back, period. Your time and your money. And I always tell people, don't waste my time and money. I'll spend both on you as I need to. I'll invest in you, but don't betray me on it, and don't waste mine. So Mark, do you want to go ahead and start with, since we've already touched on it a little bit, do you want to spend about, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes, maybe 10, and tell us a little bit about what's going on with your financial coaching world and what's going on with your professional trajectory for 2026?
Yeah.
Then Lance, I'm going to ask you the same thing, and then I'll answer too.
Yeah, for me on the financial coaching side, I'm seeing a great deal of interest in people who have reached a point in their life where it's either one or the other, and I'm seeing the same thing in career coaching as well. What I mean by that, it's either a chaotic situation, and or it's we've made progress, but we don't know where to go from here, and so. In the coaching side of that, it's having an ability to sit down with a couple or a single person and asking them where do you, I'll just throw it out here, where do you see, in anyone listening to this, if this is resonating with you, I want you to answer the first question. Where do you see yourself financially 3 to 5 years from now?
Right.
When was the last time that you sat down and dreamt about what does life look like? We make yearly goals, but where is this 5 years from now, or 3 years? And so that's one aspect. Professionally speaking, for me, it dips into a lot of the career coaching, and what I'm finding on the career coaching. There's not a lot of gray area on the career coaching, Jennifer, and I want to open this up and have this discussion. Whether or not it's very chaotic, once again, very chaotic on one side, or it's very much, I've been in my job for 5 or 6 or maybe 10 years. I don't know what's next, and I don't know where to go. And so on the chaotic side, it's often met, and the same thing in my life, it's often met with I'm in a toxic work environment. I was brought in under the cultural perspectives that matched with my values in the company, but only to find that my manager does not have the same values and is not exercising a lot of the cultural values in the from what the business has as a vision. So it's very chaotic in that sense. Another thing that I'm running into is, any employers and HR people that are listening to this, what I'm finding is that they have written job descriptions that really, and they're interviewing people that are eventually taking jobs that really are, the job description does not match the skill set. And it's largely filling it with, well, we can hire people in to fill the spot. And then that frustrates the employee. And or the person that's coming to me and saying, I need out of this position because it's toxic.
Like it's a bait and switch is what you're saying? Like they're saying,
I don't want to go
like, like the job description says that we need this, but then when they hire you and it's that, that happened to me. I was applying way back when I managed bookstores. I was applying to be a section manager for Barnes and Noble when they came to Columbus. And B. Dalton and Barnes and Noble are owned by the same people. And the regional manager hijacked my resume, and I was 2 interviews in before they told me, actually, we're interviewing you for the B. Daltons downtown. And by that time, my current employer found out about it. I had no interest in going downtown. I had no interest in managing B. Dalton down there. That was a lateral to downward move for me, and I kind of got stuck in it.
Okay, and this is a great place for me to jump in and say, before you start job searching, it is highly, highly, highly important that you understand and you're clear about what position you're looking for. Mm-hmm. On the employee side, we also, as a career coach, I also get caught into when I ask the question, what you know now about this job, take me back to the day that you accepted this job. What would you have told yourself? Mm-hmm. And, from the employer side or employee side, there's also a problem with, I took the job for a check. Mm-hmm. Well, here's the other side of this. You can't come in and say this is a toxic work environment and then say, well, I took the job because I needed a check. Yeah. Now, I understand that those that are not working or have been unemployed, I understand you may have to take something that doesn't match. I'm talking about people that have been in a position, they're making a move, and they're doing it without vetting the opportunity. How many people are just throwing out 100 resumes because the job title says engineer, and it just, and they're not glancing, they're not reading, does this job description actually fit my skill set? And I understand that there are systems that will weed out those as well, but
if you need a job, you need a job. So
right, exactly. But what I am saying is it's happening on both sides. Okay. And what's really deeply important about this is what I said earlier. We're walking into these things saying, oh, I just needed a check. However, you have $150,000 that you want to get out of debt. So you're walking into the number one wealth building tool with, I just need a check, and eventually finding a chaotic situation because your values and your skills don't match what the job description is, and you're unhappy, and then that is exacerbated by the lack of progress on your finances.
Yeah,
because you're stressed at work, you're stressed at home with finances, and all of the stress is leading you to one specific thing that I find a lot: fight or flight. Mm-hmm.
If you were in a position where you had to take a job, you just need a check, like the person I was talking about, if they got offered a job that was more, would it be horrible to take that job to get that check? If you went in with the attitude that was, I'm going to see how I can be helpful for them and what I can learn here, that's not a bad thing, even if you knew it was a temporary kind of position of a year or two.
You have to do what you need to do to take care of your family.
Yeah,
obviously. And we all do things that we don't want, that we're not always wanting to do. Going back to that situation, we have 7 years of a timeline, and we're at $38,000.
Yeah.
Let's dive in. And if that person is listening to this podcast, please reach out to me, because I want us to find a path that is going to show your growth in your income, and especially with a family of 4 and a new child on the way.
Yeah. All right, Lance, what are you seeing we've talked about it a little bit. Rates crashed. Everybody's applying for mortgages. No, what are you seeing in the mortgage business? And what's your trajectory for this year with what you're seeing for your personal development and professional?
The AI is going to pick up on that. Rates crash. It's going to be out. Mark, I just own it.
Crashed the rates? It was because of AI okay, I got it. All right.
Yeah. Mark, my wife and I used to own a franchise of a coaching company in several different states. And we don't teach in America how to get a job. So anyone listening and watching, Mark can help out. You don't send a 22-page resume that shows how old you are. That's called ageism, and it's illegal.
But it happens.
You don't lead with oh, absolutely. And the bots are looking for that to reject people. Anyway.
Hold on, Lance. Do you know how they really weed out the old people when you go in for your interview?
You look at them.
No. They start playing some Beastie Boys and some Mario Speedwagon. If you're jamming out there, like,
you got. I am.
Unless you were raised right.
I know Lance was talking about, we transitioned to him, but I do want to throw out a couple things. The interview process now is being conducted by AI. A lot of phone call, their phone interviews conducted by AI. It's here.
I think we definitely need to do a segment with you on that, because you are, obviously you started out with us as a budget coach. You diversified into the career coaching. You've always done more, but you're doing more of it because you really find it goes hand in glove. I think we need to have, when you do your segment in a couple of weeks, I think that we need to delve heavily into some of that.
Yeah, I agree. I want to.
I'll make a note to do that. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Lance, I cut you off. Go ahead. Sorry. You have permission. So,
got it.
I'm making, as you guys know, I made some changes last September. I made the change over from from a retail lender to a broker. So I put this slide together, kind of tell you where things are going this year. There's my new logo, Tennessee Mortgage Guy. Yesterday, Jennifer, I made all the changes. So all social media made the shift yesterday. So,
I still have to put my new voicemail on my new phone.
Yeah, it's okay. So you'll see all that online. So broker beats retail hands down every time. So I put a couple different variations up there. I don't know if you can see the little dot. Is that dot showing right there? Right around the screen, blue dot. So loan variety. As a mortgage broker, I provide access to just a much larger loan product spectrum. When you work for a bank, the bank is going to take care of themselves. They're going to offer the products that best feature them. Product limitations. Retail lenders only offer the products that their institution limits for their borrowers. They have limits. They have guidelines. If you're not inside of those, you're out. And over the last 25 years, I've lost a lot of business to people saying, yeah, but I couldn't do anything about it because the bank has said this is what we're going to take, X, Y, Z, take it or leave it. Rate restrictions, interest rates from retail lenders are confined to those specific offerings. And so if there's a better deal out there, you don't even know about it. For example, if you live in Texas and you own multiple investment properties.
Hold on, watch your mic. I think you're drifting from it.
What I was saying is if you live in Texas and you have multiple investment properties and some are duplexes, I'm going to have an interest in that. So they're going to ask you on that. And lastly, rate competitiveness. So broker secure competitive financing. These last 25 years, when I was working for one company, I had one rate sheet. When I start my day now, I have 100 different rate sheets to choose from. Mark said he saw an interest rate. I'm not going to say it again because the AI will pick up on it. It's not accurate. It's a number that someone got to, and in the fine print it shows how they get there. But I can say that the national average of Fannie and Freddie yesterday was 6.014. That was the national average. But rates are different for everyone. FHA is different than that. But and again, with all these investors, I can look at FHA, I can look at USDA, I can look at Fannie conforming. I can do one of the big shifts I'll be making this year, Jennifer, is you might know someone interested in this. People are doing bank statement loans, people that are doing stated income. We have a no ratio income loan, Mark. We talked about interest
Hold on,
rates.
I want to ask you some questions about some of the things you've thrown out quickly. I want to give an example of somebody who went to their bank and they were qualified for like $225,000 with the bank's rates and with what the bank was willing to give. I feel certain that your rates overall, you're going to usually find an investor who can do a better rate for that person by what, you know, a 0.02, 0.03, something, maybe more.
About 4% better, and just hands down.
So can you, if somebody has approved for 225,000, which doesn't get much in this area, if you could get them a 0.25% better rate with spending the same monthly mortgage amount, what approval amount number is that? Because that is above history major math, but I know you can do it.
Well, it'll take a second, but it really isn't that much.
But 10,000 at that price point is huge.
Well, 10,000. I'm doing a difference right now. Loan amount, 30-year term. Let's say 6.25 interest. The payment would be 353 if you went. That's not right. I don't know why I did that. Stand by. I'm going to do a 4% difference here.
Okay, sorry.
Remember, $61. $61 for every
$61.
Okay.
Why he's doing that? I think it's. Are you done?
Yeah, he's done.
Yeah. Okay.
$2 difference for 10,000. So it'd be 20 for every 9,000.
Hold on, I couldn't hear you mumbled out.
$2 difference for every 10,000 of borrowing. So for 100,000, it would be $20 difference in payment.
Okay.
You're asking how much more house they could buy. It's not a big number right now.
Would it be up to maybe 235?
Say again.
Would it be maybe up to 235? And on a larger house, it's a larger amount. But what I'm saying is that we've had people that I've said, and not just that, but the fees. And so I'm like, check with him. And it's not because, it's because I like you and everything else. It's not because I'm forcing someone to go to you. It's because I've seen what you've been able to do for people. Now, you blew through really quick. What's a bank statement loan? For someone watching who doesn't know.
Well, that's not a retail loan product. You're not going to go to your bank and say, hey, let me show you my bank statements from last year. Will you give me a loan? They're going to be like, oh, no. But they'll want to get a loan that way, by the way, from the Fed, but just showing their statements.
Yeah.
A bank statement loan is where it's called a non-QM, non-qualified mortgage. So this falls outside Fannie and Freddie, but there are investors like Mark. Mark might be an investor that pools his money with others. And they will make a loan based on either 24 months of personal bank statements or 12 months of business account statements. Asterisk, there are limitations. They're going to look at what money's going in and out of that account, how long that account has been around. But the basis of the loan for income will be based on those bank statements and the deposits average over 1 year. So you might ask, well, what happens if there's a month there wasn't any income? What did I say it was figured on?
Aggregate.
Averages of the year. So personal accounts, they're a little bit harder because there's a lot of stuff going on in personal accounts. Business accounts where people are running personal money in and out of that account can be a problem. I bet you're going to ask me, what is a no ratio loan? A no ratio loan is where we're not even looking at income or assets. We're basically making sure the person has a down payment amount and a certain credit score. I talked about that a little bit last week on the podcast where I had a realtor, long time realtor in the past, tough year.
Wait, you're bleeping out. Oh, maybe you froze.
Did we lose him?
Two different things on broker that I can offer people.
Yeah. Yeah. So sometimes better rates on all kinds of different products. And some of the places that you've worked for, they haven't even really, they could do a USDA, but they really don't bother. They could do I've heard some people that don't play with VAs. So it's just crazy that you can offer so many things now. And then, there's what?
I don't want to concentrate on rate, Jennifer, because
no, but think about it. I lost
rate,
you.
I'm here.
Okay.
Rate that's what they want to point us to. That's what they want to point us to. But sometimes, like for example, I had a borrower recently that we were looking at a conforming loan. And the conforming loan, the credit wasn't perfect. It wasn't above, it was below 700. And conforming looks at below 700 like there's something wrong with it. But FHA embraces that. So I talked to this person, and when we looked at the FHA rate, even though it had mortgage insurance, it was several $100 less than conforming. And it was kind of an aha moment for them to go like, wait a second, why is that? It's because that's how FHA is designed. However, it's not a long-term solution. It was an intermediary to get this person between where they are now and where they wanted to go. They were cognizant of that. And I have to remind myself, I will tell you, when I was having a conversation with that person, I was like, yippity, yippity. I'm like, wait a second, let's look at FHA. I haven't done that for a while.
Yeah.
And it was, for both of us, it was like, wow,
I think you should delve deeper into what really, like, I know you're going to talk soon about like the process of getting a loan, because it's just a mystery to a lot of people. But I think you should do a delve into what really should a borrower be looking at and analyzing when they're helping to choose a loan, when they're helping to choose their loan officer. I think that'd be a great deep dive for you.
I think it would be awesome. And
because everybody does focus rate.
Well, the other thing too, Lance, that you were as you were talking was triggering for me was the amount of we are seeing I loosely, and interest rates are starting to come down. I don't want to go too deep into that, but a 6.014% interest rate is not a bad interest rate.
No,
and so what was triggering for me while you were talking is the same thing about career coaching, and that is and this is the part that I'll dive into in the segment is, if you're do not get caught with your skill set expiring, your resume expiring. You haven't touched your resume. It's the same. The perspective of that is the same thing for searching for a home. If you want a home, your goal is you sat down and said, I want to buy a house in 3 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the time now is to start looking at what all of the things that I'm going to need to do. Don't sit there and go, you know what? I've been doing this for 7 years. Now I want to buy a house. Let me go buy a house.
My son literally told his friend, who is his roommate, that last night. His friend said that he wants to, he bought a car from me, $3,000-$4,000, cash car. It works. It runs. Is it fancy? No. Does it have occasional issues? A little bit, nothing, gravitous. But he said to him, he goes, I want to go buy a new car, not new, but a new car. And Will goes, if you want to buy a house someday, what you should do, because this is what Will's little bit of a snag was, is and Mark don't have a fit, but like get a $300 credit card that you maintain correctly, then get your car. And also when you're getting your car, don't have such a huge payment. And he wasn't, I don't know if he was really listening to Will. They're both the same age. They're 23. And I said, Will, you can tell people things, but there are some people who are going to be renters at 50 years old because they don't listen. I do want to talk a little bit about where real estate is and going and all of that too, because we're pushing up at 34.
Yeah, I wanted to transition to you, but just real quick, Jennifer, people use credit cards responsibly.
Yes.
I have clients that use credit cards responsibly. It's when you're not using them responsibly that we're trying to prevent. And if, for me in my life, I cannot have credit cards. I don't use them responsibly.
Right. And that's why a low limit is really important for a first time, because like I said, I usually say, use that for your date night, or use it for your groceries, or use it for your gas, and then pay it down. I wanted to read you guys stats. I know that we said last year that 74% of the realtors did 0 transactions, remember?
Yeah.
Only 2% of the realtors did 11 transactions or more. So we have some numbers for this year. First of all, the realtor count from its high of like 1.7 million in 23 is down to 1.3 million and dropping. I'm going to round these up instead of like 923,550, whatever. I'm going to do like 924,000 essentially realtors. 71% did no transactions last year. Then when you jump up to, my range was, I did 17 last year. So only 51,000 out of 1.3 million did that range. That was 4%. Top 4% of realtors did 4 transactions or more. Now, 0.2% did 100 to 300 transactions. It's a very rare individual realtor who does 100 to 300 transactions. That's not a team running everything under that realtor name, right? All that to say, there are a lot of realtors getting out of the business. There's a lot of realtors getting out of the business. But because of all the things that are going on with the real estate business and the lawsuits, there are a number of real estate agents who are not renewing as realtors. They're not doing the National Association of Realtors. So they can't use that name, and also therefore the numbers are dropping. So there's some of that at play in here too. 91% of home sellers, highest number in years, used an agent to sell their home, because the stats are coming out that people who sell their homes themselves usually leave 10% of their equity on the table. Oh, I don't want to hire a realtor. I'm going to say the number. Everybody thinks it's 3%. Newsflash, it's negotiable.
It's negotiable.
But everybody thinks it's this amount, right? Whatever it is, it's not 10%. I don't know a single agent who charges 10%. So why would you not use an agent and get more money back and have less strain and have that intermediary? I always say I have a horrible poker face, but I've got a stellar poker brain, and you can tell me things that I don't have to disclose or that I shouldn't disclose. I'm not talking structural stuff on your house. I'm talking things that would make your deal attractive. You don't show your poker hand.
So that brings up a recent, a few years ago, I had a person who was arguing with me about the commission rate, it's always 6%. You always pay 6%. It's always it's going to be 6%.
That was one of the lawsuits,
right? And I said no, that is a negotiable rate, and that varies, I think, also on the type of market that we're in, whether it's a buyer's market or it's a seller's market. If it's a buyer's market,
Mark, some brokers, broker owners said to their real estate agents, if you're at my brokerage, you must not take a transaction for less than this percent.
Gotcha.
You can negotiate higher, lower, whatever. But that's one of the things I love about benchmark. First of all, we're the benchmark that agents compare themselves to. They're all producing agents. I guarantee that 4%, the benchmark is running on those high numbers. But because there's not a 30 or 20% that I have to give to my broker, I'm on a 100% model. I have fees per transaction. Because of that, I have a lot more latitude in negotiating different things, and I do use that as a competitive edge when we need to get a transaction closed. There was something else I was going to say with the numbers. Oh, the other thing that people don't know, Mark?
What's that?
You can fire your agent. If you're in the middle of a transaction, you don't have to wait for the contract to expire. But guess what? If you're being a butthead, your agent can fire you too.
Yeah. Yep.
And I've done it. I fired a buyer. I came really close to firing a seller, but I got him under a contract. And so I was like, I'm just going to ride it out. Because, the other thing is realtors don't get paid until we close the transaction, right?
Right. And I was going to say,
change soon.
Right.
I bet it's going to start doing what you do when you do a lawyer, you put them on retainer.
Yeah, a deposit. One thing I was going to say in regards to the comment that I made about the negotiable rate, people, please understand that is affecting a realtor's money. And,
right.
if this is an exceptional realtor, they are going above and beyond. Understand, everyone needs to make money.
Okay? Yeah. I have to show why I'm worth what I charge, though. Right. I mean, you don't care that I have to pay both sides of my Social Security as well as my income taxes and my administrative fees and all this. Who cares?
Well,
you want to know when you hire me, can I get the job done efficiently? And it's my job to show you that I can and that I'm worth this amount of money. Same thing if you go to a store. You need to know that these pair of shoes are worth this amount of money, not this amount of money. And it's for you to decide. That's why there's all kinds of different models in real estate. But the other thing I wanted to talk about, you talked about diversifying into coaching for career as well as budget. Lance is diversifying into the spectrum of products that he can offer. One of the things that I've done this year is diversify into doing move management, which I did prior to real estate, which especially for seniors coming in and partnering with their family member to help move the elderly adult. What are we taking? What are we doing with all the things we're not taking? Packing up and overseeing the movers. And then when they get to their new location, unpacking them, setting their beds up, organizing them. And then also professional organizing. You can be super organized in the house that you live in now. And then you move to a new house. You don't have the same spaces. So, I mean, it's taken me at the lake. I moved there in June of 24. And I'm just now getting very organized to the point where I like my environment that I've created, my systems that I've created. Now, part of that is because I had my daughters moving stuff back in. I had Tim moving stuff in from it. So there was a lot of ins and outs. But you don't walk into a new space that's set up differently. It's not quite as bad as square peg in a round hole, but you have to figure out how to reorganize in that space. So I've diversified into move management, organizing to go with my real estate. And I licensed in Alabama because I'm close to the line down in Winchester.
So I love the fact that you're expanding your services. One of the other areas that I've expanded, I see the new Force emblem up there, but one of the other areas that I have expanded into is the employer sponsored wellness program. And any HR people that might be listening to this podcast or leaders. Would love to talk to you about an employee-sponsored financial wellness program. One of the things that the research that I did do that I found out from that research was that on average, 3 hours are lost in employee productivity that are suffering from financial stress. So
I'm putting a note down because I want you to do a whole thing on that too.
I will because and I'm looking for at least 2 companies right now for 2026 that would anywhere from 15 to 25 employees that would be interested in offering this benefit to their employers. The fact of the matter is this, guys. Employers offer 401ks, they offer wellness, and other perk. But I think one of the most important benefits that they can offer their employers is financial coaching, so that ultimately the employee is leaving the stress of their finances at home, coming in. And I'll even go this far. it shows up like this. Hold on just a second. I need to take this call. Let me go find a private room that's not being used.
Right.
In your employee, and your employee is going into a breakout room and having a private discussion about finances because they're fighting with creditors.
Right. And then coming back stressed. But I do think we need to go into that longer. But I want to recap a couple things.
Sure.
So for 2026, lots of changes in the financial coaching section, but career coaching is picking up. So if you're watching this, we are problem solving with you. We're helping you with the pain points in your life. So if your pain point is budgeting or trying to reach a financial goal that you have not yet reached, changing from a stagnant career or just getting a job. Like if you're fresh out of college and you're having trouble getting a job, or you've been 7 years and you're making 38,000, let's get you in touch with Mark. If somebody is needing a HELOC and they're needing a statement loan because they're like me, they're self-employed or they own a business, maybe it's huge, more than me, or they have a big asset, or they just want to get into a home, they want to do that, right? And then for myself, if your pain points are you want to be in a home, you want to be in a different home, a bigger home, a smaller home, or you want to be organized in your space. I know we're cutting, or you want to be organized in your space. Huh?
We're pointing to you.
Your logo.
Your logo.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. Or you want to be organized in your space, or you need help with your move or an elderly family member's move, then those are the things that we can help you guys with. And the keys to home, we're now a year into it, and we started it because we want to help people. We want to help people with pain points in their lives that we have overcome ourselves, or that we can help other people overcome. And that's the basis of this. So
one of the things that I want to throw in here too is I want to try to get a couple testimonials at people that I've worked with that might be open to providing coming on and doing a testimonial. We all at times I just cannot tell people how often I hear in the coaching sessions that I need someone that's going to hold me accountable. But number two, here's very often what I hear. Oh my gosh, I never thought even to look at it like that.
Yeah. It's just a change of perspective. Sometimes you're just like, oh, that makes complete sense. That makes complete sense. We're going to probably wrap there because we're right around 45. And we do try and keep these to around 45. So cheers. I've got my empty Predators cup now.
This is my smoothie, by the way.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't think you were having a massive milkshake.
Yeah.
It brings other boys to the yard.
I've been having an ASD meltdown for the last 10 minutes. So sorry. I was almost going to have to go to the symbol. That's not the one I was talking about.
Right.
This one. Never mind. Where is it?
So next week, we're going to talk about the steps of buying a home, right? Yeah. And then the week after that, we're going to talk about the steps of a mortgage. Then we're going to talk about the basic steps of budgeting. And we'll let you know from there when we've got special guest or testimonial guest. But we're pretty flexible in our patterns. So if there's something you want us to talk about, some of these deep dives we've talked about, we'll get them on the schedule for you guys. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's throw that out there.
Until next week.
Yeah, you guys have a great week. I like what you just said, Jennifer. Anyone out there listening to this right now, you have a topic and that we can handle. We'll invite you on.
Because Aristotelian logic,
Yeah, we'll invite the topic on, and we'll be more than happy to. Let's do a deep dive specifically on that topic for you. Mm-hmm. I want to help people. All of us here, and that's why we're in business. That's why we're partners. Every one of us.
Yeah,
we'll go extra miles to get to where to helping you. So,
all right, I think until next week, guys.
All right.